Hi everyone, welcome back to NFTV Extra. It's me, Owen, and I'm joined by Sam. To my left, not right. Anyway, today it's another episode of Talking Toon, where our guests from the NFTV crew, I'll be going through the whole crew, will answer 10 questions on topics to do with Newcastle United, their opinions on it, and you get to know their favourite moments, their favourite goals, their favourite shirts, all that kind of thing. So obviously, Sam, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, good pal. Thanks for having me on your wonderful new show on NFTV Extra.
Thank you very much. Right. So obviously, just bring this up quickly. NFTV Extra. It's been rejigged. Was the under 23 channel? NFTV Extra is back. It is now what we're trying to make into a bigger second channel. And you will see more shows like this. It's going to be more your magazine type show where you see programs like Talking Toon and you'll see Paul chatting, and yeah, it's basically the place for jargon and your FIFA videos and all that. So we'll start off with question one, pretty sharpish. What is your favourite moment of the season so far, Samuel?
There's a few to choose from, and I kind of like associate favourite moments with more about what's happening in the day, not just the game itself. So even something like the Arsenal game, which was a horrendous second half where we lost 4-0, me and Lee still had quite a mad day. So I don't look back on that game too badly. And of course, that was when we met in person.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm my dad.
Yeah. Oh, he was there. But in terms of on the pitch moments this season, I would, you know what? See, I'd be tempted to say Matty's goal against Man United, but I'm actually going to say Isaac Hayden's late winner against Chelsea, because I was sat at work that evening, because it was a Saturday night, the 5:30 kickoff, wasn't it? I was sat at work with one of the lads who works with me, and it was a horrendous game. But then the last minute, I just exploded. It was absolutely fantastic. So it kind of sums up our season so far, in that we really got lucky that game because we didn't deserve to snatch all 3 points. But that moment, and then obviously Matt Ritchie with the corner flag kick. Superb. All of it. Brilliant.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of my. I don't have a favourite moment from the season so far. Hopefully, I do have one by the end of the season. But this season, I think we've been quite blessed with moments like you think of Matty Longstaff's goal, Hayden versus Chelsea, even Ritchie with the corner flag, ASM's winner versus Southampton,
Joe Linton at Spurs.
Exactly, even that. We played the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium once and we won. So we've been blessed with moments this season, I think, compared to like Rafa's past 2 seasons in the Premier League. I don't think we're exactly blessed with as many last-minute winners and equalisers as we have been this season. I don't know, it's not been the greatest footballing season, don't get me wrong, but I think there has been some nice moments to take away from this season and definitely look back on in the future. Different question for question 2. What is your favourite ever Newcastle home kit?
Well, I've got a few to choose from. You've all seen my Newcastle shirt collection by now. If you haven't, check the main channel. So I own every home shirt. Well, I own every shirt now from 95, 96. So outfield, not goalkeepers. They're just too hard to get hold of.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a few favourites. Obviously, the kind of routine answer is your old classic, the 95 to 97 Newcastle brown ale with the grandad collar. It's just the classic shirt. It was my first ever football shirt that I was bought as a child. So that it's pretty obvious, but that has to be up there. I do like the ones under Sir Bobby, so the NTL 0203 one, and then the first Northern Rock one, 0304 after that. Well, they had blue numbers on the back. But then with shirts, you kind of associate it with, again, moments and how the team's doing. Since we've had Puma, there's not as many, but I did quite like the 125th anniversary kit.
Yeah.
I mean, Fun 88, it's a horrible logo. I mean, they're entertaining on social media, but it's a god-awful logo, so it does spoil it a bit, but I didn't mind that shirt, but it has to be the one and only, doesn't it? The classic brown ale, 95, 97.
Yeah, definitely. And you're right that you do associate kits with moments, 100%. I think for me, some of my favourite kits, that god awful yellow one from the championship season. Lots of people don't like it, but I just do. I don't know what it is. I just really enjoy that kit. Also enjoy the was it the third kit or the away kit? The blue one with the yellow strip, the Wonga one in the other championship season. I quite like that kit with the collar on it and all sorts. I thought that kit was actually quite tidy, to be honest. And then you look at the ones from the 125 year as well. That black one, it was pretty much almost blackout. If that had a complete blackout with black badge, blackout sponsor and everything, that kit would have been gorgeous. It was gorgeous as it was, don't get me wrong, but yeah, that kit was up there, I think.
We've had some nice third kits down the years. I mean, that season where we had the custard cream yellow one, I showed it again in my collections video, the black and blue striped one, the third kit that season. We didn't wear it very often at all, as you don't really with your third kits. But again, like in the other championship season, the kind of white one with like a nice purpley trim. We've had some really nice third kits and away kits. The two-tone green back in the day. I remember Shearer and Owen absolutely slaughtering West Brom 1 Super Sunday, 3-0. Yeah, so we've had some good ones, but most of them have been when we had Adidas. Yeah,
and one that I can't necessarily remember, but I do quite like is that NTL one from the 02-03 season. I think it's probably just because it's around the time that I was born. It was the first kit that was used after I was born.
It makes me feel so old.
But I think one of the first pictures that is actually of me as a little Ben is me in like the kiddies version of it. So like I think it was an all-in-one or something. I don't know what it was, but it was it's one of the first pictures that my mum and dad have got of me in that. So I quite like that kit. It's I wouldn't say it's classic. Like when I think classic, I think 90s, but it's definitely one of the better kits we've had. Going on to question 3, it's quite similar. What is your favourite Newcastle away strip?
So again, like the first away strips, you had the classic horizontal red and kind of dark blue stripe one, the classic, which was replicated a season or two back with Fun 88 and Puma and whatnot. So they're really nice. I liked the all blue. I'm not sure if it was away. Do you know what? I think it was a third kit, not an away, but potato. All blue brown ale with kind of a yellowy trim. I wore it on the radio show actually the other week. It feels like quite silky on you. It's a bit bizarre, but I remember that time. I always remember Ket Spire playing in that and Shearer as well. That's a good one. Another good one was for around the time of Sir Bobby was kind of like a two-tone dark stripy blue one. That was the same similar season as when we had that green one I referenced earlier under Sir Bobby. And I do actually like a Puma one for the away one. It was the season where we had Virgin Money as the sponsor. It was that real dark red, burgundy red. I really liked that one. Kabay looked good in that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to push me to one, I'd say, the 95, 96 one again. It has to be, doesn't it? I know it's a bit cliche, but bloody hell, they were good.
Yeah, you can't deny a classic at the end of the day, can you? I mean, that kit just shows how big it was because it was only replicated last year. Not many clubs do that. Not many kits are thought of in such a way that they're brought back and replicated to be a modern version. So that's got to be a statement in itself, really. And that kit, that replica kit, okay, maybe the Fun 88 ruins it on it. But it's still, I think what they did with making it gold, the sponsor even, and stuff like that, I think that just makes that kit quite beautiful. An away kit that I'd probably pick out, or is it a third kit? I don't know, but that Virgin Money one again, I think is it Virgin Money? It's orange, the one that's Cisse vs Swansea. That's what comes to mind.
Okay, so that was the season where Northern Rock went bust. So it was Northern Rock to begin with, but then they had to stick a Virgin Money kind of patch over the top. Yeah. It was that Swansea game and the West Brom away game as well, where they just absolutely blitzed them first half.
Yeah, I do quite like that kit. I think it's just because of that Cisse goal, but there's something about these brighter colours that I'll never look good in an luminous orange or a luminous green, but the players do, so that's all that matters. Away kits are strange, I think, compared to home kits, because you're never going to find a kit that you'd, I don't know, maybe like get away with wearing out. Whereas where you wear a home kit, people know what kit you're wearing, whereas from a distance, they saw a black and white stripes. Oh, I was a Newcastle fan. But away kits, I think it's always different. So I'm just gonna take a drink from our sponsors, Beer 52. So
this wasn't even pre-planned.
Recently, we have got a new sponsor, Beer 52.
Beer52.com.
My first one, that is beautiful. 4.7%. I won't say what I was going to say on the advert. But yeah, Sam, do you want to tell us about our brand new sponsor, Beer 52?
Yeah, they are the UK's largest beer tasting company. Really, it's like I've heard of it before through like Virgin Wines and stuff like that, where you get wines delivered. But Beer 52 is the beer equivalent of that. It's a subscription which you can cancel any time. So a monthly kind of beer delivery every month. Superb, real great range of beers from throughout the world. So beers, IPAs, stouts, lagers, everything. But Jason, yes, we did have to pay for the beers anyway, but I'll level with you now. I've kept up the subscription because, I'll call it as I see it. People know I'm a Thatcher's guy, but no, the beers I've had so far, I've had half of them now, and they've been superb. So yeah, beer52.com/NFTV.
Yeah, I must say that this the couple of sips I've had of this one so far, it's my first one out of the box, and my God, it is amazing. I'm not quite sure. It tastes a bit passion fruity, actually. I'm just going to take another sip.
Yeah, I had that one the other day. That's quite a good one.
Yeah, obviously Amazon as well with 3 Retro. We have an Amazon shop, so if you guys want to go check that out, you can get anything on there. Memorabilia, pencil cases, which I know Lee likes. Duvets as well. Lee is a big fan of Newcastle United duvets.
Let's be honest, we had great fun recording them radio show adverts the other day. We had great fun.
You'll probably see them eventually, guys that are watching. We recorded the adverts the other day, and they'll probably appear in the cuts at some point. And also 3 Retro as well.
The adverts went out on the radio show on Sunday.
Did they actually? I missed it.
Yeah.
Oh, gutted.
I know you weren't involved this week, but yeah, no, they went out. They went out all 3.
I've got them saved to my camera roll. So if I need cheering up, I just go on and have a scroll through. But yeah, getting back to it, 3 Retro as well. Pretty much, they've got a big stock of retro Newcastle shirts. They're not real. They're the score draw versions of them, but bargains really. You're talking 30, 40 quid for a classic Newcastle shirt. That's good money. And yeah, they've got a good selection on there. They're always expanding. So go check out 3 Retro as well. I'm sure they would enjoy your business. Right. So question 4. What is your favourite goal from the Mike Ashley era, Sam?
See, again, my whole supporting Newcastle experience is kind of moments that kind of resonate and memories I have of my life. So there's the obvious ones. So Cisse at Chelsea, Bar at Reading, Ben Arthur against Blackburn and Bolton. I'm going to go for something slightly different. And I'm going to go for Kabai's free kick against Manchester United in the 3-0 win, because it just kind of, it's a day. I remember I had a real crap day that day. My granddad, who's sadly no longer with us, at the time, he was in hospital that day, and we had just an absolute crap day. I was going back and forth, taking people to see him and whatnot. I thought, oh, great, I'll go and sit down and watch us get battered by Man United now. And we absolutely blitzed them. It cheered me right up. And that Kabai free kick, it's something like, things like that just stay with you forever. So it's things that resonate with me. And that whole game, I could have easily said Barr's first goal and Phil Jones's hilarious own goal in the last minute to make it 3. But no, the Kabai free kick, so it was about 30 odd yards out, maybe even a bit more, but who's counting? No keeper was saving that in the world. It was just an absolute joy to behold. So I'd probably go with that one from the Ashley era.
Yeah, Kabai's goal, top of the range goal. That I don't think you'll find a more precise free kick, because it was right in the top right hand corner, left as you look at it, but goalkeeper's right top hand corner. And I look back at that goal sometimes. I just think, wow, like it takes pure skill to score that kind of goal. But I think of my favorite goal in the Ashley era. I mean, look, there's so many. Lee mentioned the other week, Cisse versus Chelsea comes to mind. I mean, mine changes all the time, because I just seem to remember. I just remember loads more all the time. There's just these hidden gems that just come back into your mind. You're like, hang about what? So I know. I think probably some of Perez's goals have been quite good. I was a big fan of Iosi Perez. If for those of you
cheeky
who don't
little
know,
flick at West Brom.
Yeah,
nice.
that cheeky little flick at West Brom. But more when we were promoted back to the Premier League after that 16-17 season, that 17-18 season, I worked out that all the goals he scored that season. I think so. All the goals he scored in the Premier League that season were all scored were one-touch finishes. No one picked up on it, but I did. So every goal that he scored that season was a one-touch finish. I think that chip over Schmeichel just is gorgeous, really. Obviously, not the first time he's been chipped, but that's probably one of my favourites. I think it's quite underrated. It gets forgotten about, but yeah, beautiful.
Another one of mine as well, whilst I remember, Ben Arthur against Villa. Where he turns inside, and the power and the follow through he gets off that shot that gets launched into the top corner is just, I could watch that all day.
Scored that one against Everton as well, didn't he? It was similar to that. Before he was
Fulham, the other one that was similar to that.
I'm sure there was one at Everton. It was on his debut.
Oh, Everton was the one in his first season. Yeah. I know which
and
one
he was wearing the number 37 on his back.
Yes.
Not the number 10, and he just absolutely spanked it into the top corner, didn't he? Beautiful goal, that. Which kind of leads me on to the 5th question. What is your favourite Newcastle goal of all time? There's a lot to choose from, so take your time there.
There is, isn't there? Do you know what? Shearer against Chelsea is one of my favourite. It's my favourite Shearer goal. It's not the one against Everton or the one against Villa, but the one against Chelsea where he just completely outmuscles and turns Desai and just bends it lovely into the goal. That's one of my favourites, if not the favourite. I really did like that one. Again, moments. I like moments, even like Bellamy's last-minute winner at Feyenoord. It's not a good goal, but it's what it evokes. So that's what makes it a favourite. It's not most technically spectacular. I mean, it was a naff goal. The keeper should have saved it, but it's just one of them that just brings it all back, you know. I also like David Batty's against Wimbledon, which was that sometimes gets forgotten, that goal, because that was the game where Shearer scored his first league goal for Newcastle. at the Leazes and the free kick. But that was to make it 2-0. David Batty scored the first goal in that game, and it was like a 35-yard lob of Neil Sullivan in the Wimbledon goal. So if you haven't seen that 96-97 season, it's one of my favourites. And also, Esprilla's third against Barcelona.
I knew you'd say that.
Yeah, I told Keith Gillespie this. So, yeah.
You also told him you played in the FA Cup final, didn't you?
Wind your neck in. That's one for the cuts. Although I admitted it in my latest article to kind of take the pleasure away from Lee embarrassing me in the cuts. But yes, I did mistakenly tell Keith Gillespie he played in the FA Cup final when in fact he didn't, and it was the low point in his career. But yeah, that's fine. Move on.
Yeah. Moving back to goals, though. I've always said my favourite Newcastle goal of all time, even though I wasn't there to see it. Philippe Albert's chip over Schmeichel. I mean, it's a little bit cliche because it's spoken about all the time, but I said it the other week when I was on with Lee. The audacity of that. One, a player chipping a goalkeeper. Two, a player chipping a goalkeeper that is maybe the best in the Premier League, plays for Manchester United, arguably the biggest club at the time. And then three, a centre-half doing it. I think those three things added together just make it a special, magical moment, and just to top off the day, and the commentary on it as well, Albert, like just magical. I mean, there's so many to choose from. I quite like the layoff. It was at Old Trafford. Someone laid the ball off to Shearer and he just spanked it into the top right, I think. Like that one.
Free kick?
Yeah.
That would have been Solano who laid it off.
Speaking of Solano, I quite like his outside the foot shot against Everton.
Yes, please.
Lauren Robert's bicycle scissor overhead kick versus Fulham. I quite like any Lauren Robert goal for that matter. Please, Lauren, if you're watching, please come on the channel, mate. I really want to speak to you. Yeah, I mean, and even someone that I was thinking about the other day, Emre. He scored some bangers. Emre.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's so many.
A bit of a controversial character, Emre. I don't think he's the nicest chap, but yes, he did score a good free kick or two.
Yes, but yeah, so many to talk about, so many to reminisce about, really, isn't it? And I think that's the beauty of football, is the fact that it creates so many fond, happy memories, as well as sad ones, but mostly happy memories. Question 6: what was your favourite Newcastle United moment of all time?
Do you know what? Again, this is related to kind of like moments in your life, and it all centres around Newcastle United, because obviously it's a big, massive part of my life. 95, 96. Was it 95, 96 or 96, 97? 96, 97. UEFA Cup against Ferencváros. We lost the first leg 3-2 away. I know, Owen, this is going to go over your head, but bear with me, I've got you. And the second leg, we were at home, obviously. And I was in hospital at the time.
Is this the game where Ginola scored? Yeah.
Yes. Esprilla got a couple, and I think Soles got the fourth in like the 89th minute or something like that. But I was in hospital at the time. I was only 7. I was in hospital, and my mum had to, because it wasn't like hospitals now where you have a telly in each individual room. You had one little telly in the corner, in the top corner, and of the whole ward. So my mum, bless her, had to ask the nurses on duty whether we could have the telly on, because obviously it's a children's ward. Kick off at 7:45, 8 o'clock. To have the telly on until 10 o'clock at night was a big deal in a children's ward of a hospital, so that they weren't keen on us having it on, but luckily we persuaded them if we had it on quiet, we could have it on, and we won 4-0. So yeah, that was really sweet. That was really good. I'd say that was my favourite moment. Johnny
says, Sam, tell me more about the old days.
Gather round. Grab it and gather round, sunshine.
Exactly. Apparently, I'm being slandered in the comments as well. Jason says, I've just realised Owen is sitting in front of a window. I thought it was a closed bar, which Lee has responded to as Owen lives on the west wing of his dad's mansion. He sounds posh, but his parents say he knocks around with the common people. I was shocked. Wow. I'll have you know that the brick wall in the background is actually just wallpaper. So that's number one.
Yeah. Well.
2, this room is tiny. Gets quite hot in here as well. And yeah, I'm being slandered. As always, banter is allowed, but this is just absolute. This is online bullying. Question number 7. What is your favourite season of all time?
02-03.
And why's that?
Really good season, and then it was epitomised with I had it on VHS, but it's on DVD, probably from our Amazon store. So it's called Flying High. So Bobby finished 3rd in the league, had the Champions League run. It was just a great season, really great season. Look through that team. If we had a better defence, I mean, you're making it. This was obviously back in the day where you had 2 group phases of the Champions League. Made it through the first group phase with Juventus, Dynamo Kiev, and Feyenoord. Going to the second with Leverkusen, we did the double over, Inter Milan and Barcelona. It was just, and we're going into that game with Titus Bramble and Andy O'Brien and Nick Ostabas as his centre backs. I mean, even if you'd feel more confident now if you're going into that game with, Lascelles, Kieran Clark, Cher, Lejeune,
Mm-hmm.
So it was just we played some great football under Sir Bobby. Sir Bobby's obviously a legend and so endearing. That's my favourite season, pretty comfortably, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good choice. If I had to say my favourite season, I mean, the season we finished 5th comes to mind because obviously it's probably the only season we've had a bit
to choose from.
No, exactly. But I think if I had to pick one, it's that second championship season because I don't know what it was about that. I think it was just the factor of it felt like we were winning every week and there was just so much positivity considering where we were.
So I'd say the first championship season seemed a hell of a lot more comfortable than the last one.
Yeah, it's a bit weird with the first one because I remember dribs and drabs, but not all. But the second one where I can remember pretty much all of it, and just that final day, I think just sums it up for me. We nearly bottled it, but we didn't, and we ended up nicking it on the final day, and I'm pretty sure the ceiling nearly fell through in this house because I was just jumping up and down so much. So yeah, that season's probably one of my favourites. Johnny says Arsenal 1, Newcastle 3 was amazing. Robert unplayable that night.
Well, that was a 102. We were actually top at Christmas that season.
Yeah. That's what we said before that 0102. Yeah, that is. I think I've seen the highlights of that game. Solano scoring that game, or was it Bernard?
Who?
Bernard? Olivier Bernard? Did he score in that game?
No, that wasn't the one.
That was later on, wasn't
Andy
it?
O'Brien, which no, that was 0102, the 3-1. That's the question I won the NFTV quiz on, young Owen.
Was it?
So, yeah, Andy O'Brien and then Shearer penalty, then Robert.
Right. I see. Well, it's good. I'm expanding my knowledge all the time on these historical questions, topics, whatever you want to call it. Question number 8. Who's your favourite player from 1, the Mike Ashley era, and 2 of all time? So just to make it clearer, I'm looking for 2 players. The first one being from the Mike Ashley era and the second one being from all time.
Mike Ashley era is Johan Cabaye because he's really good at football. He's just one of the best centre mids I think we've ever had, and he would pick out passes. The Stoke game at home springs to mind where he threads that ball through for Cisse. Just no one saw that pass coming apart from him. It was absolutely out of this world. It's a shame on how it turned out in the end because obviously he had aspirations of, bigger and better things, which maybe he could have achieved with Newcastle had we have capitalised on that fifth place finish instead of just buying Burn and Anita. But yeah, Johan Cabaye for me from the Ashley era. And of all time, Shay Givens won, because when I was 9, 10, 11 years old, I was a goalkeeper, and a pretty good one back in the day. So Shay Given was a big inspiration to me. Shearer, obviously, because I'm a 30-year-old Newcastle fan. Of course, Shearer's going to be one of them. I also really liked Kieran Dyer around 02-03.
Yeah, I think my dad did as well. I think he quite liked Kieran Dyer.
He got some horrendous treatment. I remember him being named in Channel 4's worst ever England 11. I think that's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for injuries, Kieran Dyer would have been one of the best English players we've seen around that time. He was unreal. His pace would frighten the life out of defenders, and he was quality. It was just injury after injury after injury for him. So he never got a proper good run when he'd matured into a top-class player.
Yeah, my dad was saying to me the other day that he was watching him back in some game, and he looked rapid, and my dad seemed to recall that he lost quite a bit of pace through his injuries, which is always quite sad to see, really. And my dad's also told me stories about Shearer dropping a yard of pace as well with the knee injuries that he had over time, and he had to change his game and alter his game.
If you watch early Shearer, he was running down the channels and putting in crosses and doing everything. He could do it all, but then he changed his game and played on the last defender, stayed in the middle. So Bobby told him to stay within the confines of the box and whatnot, down the centre, get in there and score, target man poacher kind of role, and changed his career and carried on being the prolific goal scorer we all know and love.
Surely has to be the most complete forward of all time, in my opinion. I think so. He could do anything. Score, not many strikers can score a free kick, head the ball, run with it, shoot from distance, poach, just have the sense of finishing that he had. Magical. If I had to pick my two, Mike Ashley era, I said this the other week, Perez, because I don't know I think Perez was one of the first players I seem to remember retaking to. I know it was in 2014, and he was here for 5 years, and I was 15? No, I was 14. No, what? No, 12. Yeah, 12. What am I? I'm thinking 2020. Yeah, whatever. I was like 12, whatever, and it was when I started really taking to it, whatever. And I just remember he's sort of a player that I've grown up with, if you like, since I've started remembering things more. So yeah, definitely Perez. And from all time, there's so many to choose from. Like we've mentioned, Robert, Shearer, Solano.
Solano could have been one of the best players of the world had he had the pace of someone like a Dyer, because his crossing and his passing and all that ability was just immense. We should never have got rid of him in the first place, but luckily we did get him back.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many players from pre-Ashley era and just all of that. It's difficult for me to choose. I can't remember who I said the other week. Like, again, it changes all the time because you just think of players that just come out of nowhere. But like, I quite like Asprilla from what I've seen of him and all sorts. So I'm not gonna pick one today.
Asprilla was a bit too consistent because he was just an absolute nutter. But I was looking through some Les Ferdinand goals the other day for reasons that will become apparent later on this week, and you forget he was also a complete centre forward. I mean, you just think of Solaz as one of the best headers of a football you ever see, and that is still very much the case. I put a video of the derby, which was the one at Roker Park where no away fans were allowed in, and he scored the winner in that game with a header, beautiful header. But also, he would do everything. He would run through the defence. He would round the keeper, slot it home. He could do it all. We were so lucky around that era. And I say it once, I'll say it again. It's criminal him and Shearer only had one season together.
Yeah, so I think it's always a blessing when you have two similar types of. I think it's good to have two complete forwards up top, or you either have a big man, little man partnership. You can never just have two Peter Crouches up top or two runners. I think you have to find the right balance, and I think those two were. I think they complemented each other in a way, and something that you don't see very often. I think people always talk about Bar and Cisse's partnership, but was it really that good?
Because only one of them scored.
Exactly.
And they both scored, and they both could do it all. Bar and Cisse was a bit fiddly, and they looked best when they had Ben Arthur as a 3.
Yeah, I think people seem to remember them because they both scored a good amount of goals, that they were this amazing partnership, but they never really helped each other out. When one was in form, the other one was out. It was very hot and cold. Question number 9 now. Who's your favourite Newcastle manager of all time?
Sir Bobby Robson, because he's just my hero. Sir Bobby was my hero. It's my prized possession is my signed copy of his book. So yeah, it's an easy one. Yeah, that's why I'd be going up to the Sir Bobby statue on Cannes, or I would have been pre-lockdown for Cannes Day, giving a toast to the statue of Sir Bobby, signalling the end of a horrendous era and bringing a new one in. But yeah, Sir Bobby, every time the aura about the guy, and he's just an inspiration. Beat cancer so many times. He was just an absolute legend, and very easy. He's lovable. He was easy to take a shine to. So yeah, even stories about him being a bit dippy with players' names, calling Shola Amiobi Carl Court and stuff, is just absolutely hilarious. So yeah, I loved Bobby to bits.
Yeah, I mean, people talk about Sir Bobby Robson all the time, and from what I've seen the documentaries, I've read part of his book now. Obviously you hear countless stories and whatnot, and he just seems like that type of man that he's not just like Rafa. I looked up to Rafa. I don't know what it was. He was the first big manager in my time supporting Newcastle that we've had, and I sort of looked up to him and kind of wish that he'd never gone. I think many fans do, but for different reasons, I think. But for Sir Bobby, like, I think maybe I didn't ever get to watch him, or if I did, I can't remember. But just his stories about just how much of a nice guy he was, and he always seemed to be the people's person. And he may not always be respected for what he did in his time at Newcastle. Yes, he did a good job, but maybe not maybe people don't think as fondly of the Bobby Robson era as they do of the Keegan era. But I think the whole nation, football fans across the nation, can really admire what Sir Bobby Robson provided to football. Maybe even across the world as well, because you look at the clubs he's worked with: PSV, Barcelona, Porto.
His reputation precedes him all around Europe and the rest of the world. He's so highly thought of everywhere. Whether Barcelona, he obviously managed in Holland, in Portugal, did a great job with England in Italia '90. Come so close. He's just an absolute legend of the game, and everyone loves Bobby.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just going to read some comments out now before we go into our final question. Johnny says Bruce for me. For some reason, I think that's a joke. I'm not too sure on that one. Maybe the emoji's given away. God knows. Jonathan says Keegan, Sir Bobby, Rafa. Yeah, I think they're the 3 managers that pop into Newcastle fans' heads. More so Keegan and Sir Bobby, more than Rafa, but Rafa is definitely still in that conversation sometimes.
See, I don't know whether I'd have Chris Hughton above Rafa.
No, I wouldn't.
That's controversial.
I wouldn't have him above Rafa either. I wouldn't either.
No, I would. I might have Chris Hughton above Rafa.
You might.
If you think when we went down, the mess we were in,
all that dead wood.
That summer, we didn't have a manager. There was no preparation. We didn't sign anyone. All we got was Danny Simpson on loan. Chris Hughton saved Newcastle United, along with the strong core of the dressing room that we had and the players that stayed. but it would have been so easy for that season to turn into something that happened with Leeds back in the day, Southampton back in the day. It's happening down the road at Sunderland now. It would have been so easy for that to happen for us that season, where I think it would have been less likely with Rafa, because although it was obviously a mess and completely unacceptable that we did go down, Rafa was still there, and he still had a degree of organisation about the place, whereas the other time was just a madhouse. Even Shearer was still expecting to be taking charge of Newcastle that season. He'd lined up signing Chris Wood, but it was just chaos. So Chris Hughton saved Newcastle United.
Oh, imagine if we had signed Chris Wood, though, man. We wouldn't be having this problem we have now. God, that's something to think about.
He wasn't that great back in the day. It's only the last few years he's improved.
Yeah, he's like a fine wine, really, isn't he? There was another comment I saw as well. Some more than others. Where was that comment? Oh yeah, Jason says, I used to run a motorcycle store in Newcastle, and so Bobby would drive past me every morning with a nod. BMW 7 Series, reg number 1RWR.
Yeah, RWR. Yeah.
That is a phenomenal. Yeah, that is a phenomenal story, by the way, Jason. If you have any more short stories, please do share, because I would love to hear them. One quick more thing before we go into the final question, which is another advertisement. Our membership programs, Facebook and YouTube. Sam, do you want to tell them about Facebook?
Yeah, so for a very small, reasonable fee of $3.99 a month, you get loads of bonus content, exclusives. You get to see more from all of us as we run through things. We're all posting on there fairly regularly now, particularly Liam Paul. As Kyle said on the radio show on Sunday, you get to see me in sunglasses on there. And throughout the whole of this lockdown period, where we've had some amazing interviews with so many fantastic guests, we've been so fortunate. The news of them always get broken on the Facebook private group first, always. So you're always, it's $3.49. Thank you. Oh, it's even cheaper. Jesus, I've just saved you 50p.
Right. 50p goes a long way, you know, Sam, especially in the current climate.
Certainly does. But yeah, all of that news gets broken there first. So it's a great one to check out.
Yeah, definitely. And also the YouTube membership as well. Lee does this side of things. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure I will at some point. You get to see some more bonus content, some behind the scenes type stuff, I believe. Some short little clippy, funny videos. I believe you get early access content as well on some things. So yeah, check that out as well. I think there's a gold, silver, and bronze membership status. They all cost different amounts, whatever, and you get more with gold than you do on silver, and so on and so forth. So yeah, go check those two out. If you do watch Newcastle Fans TV on the regular, make sure you check them out, because it's a good bit of extra content to get under your belt. As we move on to the final question now, which I think you're going to find a little bit tough, Sam. If we get one thing to happen that has already happened in Newcastle United's history to happen again, what would it be and why?
1951 to 1955, 3 FA Cups. Oi, oi.
I think that's what Lee said the other week as well. That period of success that we
51, 52, 55. Kaboom. Let's have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, anything like that. Even, the 1910 one where we beat, I think Barnsley, was it 2-0? Yeah, just a trophy of anything. I mean, we're 2 championships don't really do much for me when one's shaped like a Coca-Cola bottle and the other one's just draped in Sky Bet merch. It's not great. And then, of course, who could forget the Intertoto plaque? So, yeah, we need a proper trophy. Could still be possible this season. Tall order, but I don't know whether it'd feel the same doing it in banter, Johnny. I don't think it'd be quite the same behind closed doors, but yeah, an FA Cup, a trophy, and it's just, yeah, that's the overwhelming want.
Jonathan Young says qualify for the Champions League. That's a very valid point as well, I think. I mean, look, we've been starved of not only European football, but just competing for so long that I'll settle for anything at this point. I'll settle for the Premier League Asia Trophy. Come on, just give me something, please.
The thing is, the European nights were always really special. Back from, the UEFA Cup nights, when the UEFA Cup used to be on a Wednesday. Because in the 90s, young Owen, Champions League used to be Tuesday. Then you had the UEFA Cup Wednesday. And then you had the Cup Winners' Cup, now defunct, on Thursday. So yeah, European nights have always been great. Throughout Keegan era, Kenny, Sir Bobby was brilliant. And even the season after the 5th place finish under Pardew, we had a cracking run in the Europa League. So they're always good fun. So yeah, European football, superb.
Yeah, absolutely. If I had to pick one, I mean, I could be really cheeky here and say take over, because we've already had one before. So why can't we have one again? You know what I mean? Stuff like that, or just in terms of reliving moments that maybe I didn't get to see, like that Barcelona night comes to mind. I would have loved to have been there for that. Beating Man United 5-0, as Johnny's put in the comments. Yeah, just stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, as mentioned earlier, just competing for things and maybe winning an FA Cup or just at least getting to Wembley or something. Just please, just something, Newcastle. That's all I want. But that is it for tonight. It's been a good show, I think. Have you enjoyed that, Sam?
Yeah, it's always nice to reminisce. I do go on a bit sometimes, so it's a bit longer than the one you did with Lee. But yeah, no, it's always good fun to look back.
No, it's always good fun to look back, and I enjoy hearing stories from the prehistoric times. So yeah, it's nice, to be honest. I enjoy doing this. So next week or the next time we have someone on, I'm not sure who it's going to be. Maybe drop a comment down below as who you'd like it to be. I'll check it out and ask them whether they're free. Nice bit of rhyming there, Owen. Thanks, guys, for watching today's video on NFTV Extra. Make sure you check out all the other content and the main channel, Newcastle Fans TV. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.